4 wins, 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s, 3 poles, and an average finish of 17.1. Matthew, how would you rate the championship compared to his first 2 championships?
It was probably the worst of the 3 statistically. I mean, to win a NASCAR Cup Series championship is incredibly difficult nonetheless. But for him to have such, I think 2018 was his best without a doubt. 2022, I think he did a great job too. And obviously in 2024, he did well when he needed to. I mean, statistically, he might be in this playoff system the worst champion. Like I said, statistically, it all depends. I want to emphasize that one for everyone. Statistically, the worst champion they've had since this playoff system has been enacted. But I mean, 4 wins, 7 top 5s. I believe 6 he had 3 top 5s in the playoffs. They all happened to be wins. So it's kind of like if he was up there, he was winning. But if he wasn't, then it was kind of like, just Joey Logano riding around. But I mean, got to give him props. So, I mean, to win 1 Cup Series championship is great. To win 2 is pretty awesome. To win 3, joining an exclusive list of just 9 other drivers before him. I mean, I tip my cap to him right there. I mean, I give him a lot. But like I just said, I think this is definitely his worst championship. But, I mean, I look forward to 2026 to see what he can do there.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no arguing it. Not only the worst of his 3, but I think statistically speaking, like you said, Matthew, the worst average finish for a Cup Series champion in the 76-year history of this sport. And I get it. I understand. And I watched the pre-race show yesterday. Jackson Todd and I were going back and forth in the chat, and he knew right away, but we have very different opinions of this system. I totally respect his opinion, understand where he's coming from. And I want to make it very clear. Congratulations to Joey Logano for exposing the system. Congratulations to him for getting hot at the right time and doing everything he needed to do with the system that is the same for all 40 drivers out there on the track. You're not going to hear me call him an illegitimate champion, because there is a lot of that going on the former Bird app right now and all over social media. You're not going to hear that from me. Well done, Joey Logano. It's the system that anybody that watches this network knows that I have a massive problem with. Obviously, I don't think we're going to change it back to a regular season or full season championship. But if you wanted to make those comparisons, and again, everybody's saying that this is a waste of time, Racing Reference still tracks this stuff. So I'm just going off of what Racing Reference themselves are saying here. In 2018, Logano wins his first title. It's the year it was the big 3 and me. Everyone was so focused on Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. In complete fairness to Joey Logano, he was 4th. He would have been next in line anyway, tallying up all the points, non-playoff standings-wise in 2018. In 2022, he was 3rd. In 2024 here, he's 12th. I saw the Winston Cup Ladford system points account on X.com was saying that he would have jumped up to 11th. He would have been 13th entering this race. 13th, 14th, wherever he was before he went on this run here in these last couple of races, that doesn't even qualify you for the original chase from 2004 to 2013. I don't think really under any format, unless maybe you had a bunch of wins from 2011 to 13 and you were between 11th and 20th in the standings. Maybe you could get a wild card in there. But regardless, this is the only system where you could have a season like Joey Logano had, with so few top 5s, so few laps led, a statistically mediocre average finish, if we're really being honest. I mean, 17th place, you're really halfway down the result sheet if that's what your average finish is. And only because we had an insane race at Nashville, thanks in no small part, I saw this come up on social media as well. Austin Cindric spinning out, really sparking the quintuple overtime we got of a Nashville race. But that locks Joey Logano in, and then he gets lucky with the disqualification of Alex Bowman. He's the next one in line. He gets back into a round of 8. All he has to do is win 1 race in the round of 8. He's in the championship 4, and all he had to do today was win the race. Now, I say all he had to do. He had to still win multiple races, go get the job done when it mattered most, and he did that. Congratulations to him. But over the course of a full season, what is the point of crowning a champion in sports? It's to say who was the best team or the best driver over the course of this season. That's how we look back on championship years. This is, statistically speaking, easily the weakest season for a NASCAR Cup Series champion, regardless of what format you want to throw in there to make a comparison.
This format, one of those deals where he got on the right wins at the right times to put himself in this spot. And I got to say, it's just really interesting to see Joey Logano considering this was the year where Ford came out really slow, he got a couple of wins. I was just never thinking, okay, he's going to make a deep playoff run. If anything, I think myself and other people were curious, can he keep his even year streak going? He got that opportunity after Alex Bowman got disqualified. He made the most of it, and this is just so similar to the last time he won a championship. He won that first race in the round of 8. It seemed like the next 2 races, he's not really mentioned about. We know that team is just working on the 22 car for Phoenix. And once again, fast car at Phoenix, hard to beat when he was in clean air. He had a little bit of a slow stop where he was a little bit in the top 10, but he still got his way towards the front. Ryan Blaney, he was trying everything he can to close in. He was making it look interesting at the end. Not a whole lot of action. I think that, again, the debate about Phoenix being the best racetrack or not for this race, I think that's really gained a lot more attention after this weekend. But for Roger Penske, he might like Phoenix. 3 championships in a row for Penske drivers and a 1-2 finish this year. Ben, do you believe this is a Penske dynasty in NASCAR?
Well, on paper, sure. But Joe, I know we were talking as we were backstage right as the show was about to begin. You win 3 straight championships in sports. I don't think very many people are arguing that it's not a dynasty. The Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately for me as an Eagles fan, kind of sparking this potential three-peat that they're about to go on here. But they have a shot at that. I think everybody considers them the current NFL dynasty. The Warriors didn't even three-peat, but they went to 5 finals in a row. Very, very few people are going to be arguing against them being a dynasty for the prime of Steph Curry's career and everything. Obviously, you can throw any sports comparison out there that you want in baseball or hockey or wherever as well. In motorsports, I suppose you could say Dario Franchitti had a dynasty of a turn of a decade with Ganassi winning 3 straight. In IndyCar, maybe Alex Palou is on a dynasty now with 3 out of 4 with Ganassi again here. Jimmy Johnson, obviously, if you want a NASCAR comparison, went on a dynasty run, winning 5 in a row. I don't think we'll ever see that again with a team probably even, let alone one single driver with this format here, although Penske's 3/5 of the way there. And yet, I did not think of this, Joe, as a dynasty until I looked ahead in the script tonight and saw you were going to ask us this question. I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's just apathy from a system on my part that I don't particularly care for. I don't know if it's the fact that these championships, and Ryan Blaney, I think as well, last year, probably would have been higher up in the standings than Logano, but even his average finish, I think, was among the weaker. I don't know if it was the all-time worst. If it's now the second worst, I'd have to go back and look at the list off. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know it was down there. And looking at Joey Logano's this year, obviously, they won their championships by getting hot at the right time. And again, more power to them. But when I think of full season performance, I don't know. I haven't thought about Team Penske the last few years, as impressive as they've been at Phoenix winning these championships, and thought, man, right now it's Penske and then it's everybody else, right? The Hendrick teams really have some work to do to catch up. The Joe Gibbs cars, or whatever, RFK, Stuart Haas, RCR, whoever. I mean, everybody's just so far back. It's Penske in a class of their own. I haven't felt that way about this team here in the 2020s, even with these 3 championships in a row now. So again, if you're going to die on the hill that this system is incredible and it forces people to be competitive and win the right races at the right time, then I'm sure, you're going to consider this to be a dynasty. And in many ways, I suppose it is a dynasty. But for me personally, I hadn't thought about it that way until I saw this question. So it's just interesting, again, that different dynamic of it. And I guess it all comes down to how you feel about the system.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's hard to say it's not a dynasty. I didn't think about it, but it's pretty impressive that the 2 worst regular season, I guess, all-time like championship drivers from a full regular season standpoint in the past 2 years, if you look at it statistically, like Ben made the emphasis to let people know we're talking statistically speaking, you just get hot at the right time. Ryan Blaney was probably the worst until 2024 when his Team Penske teammate Joey Logano comes in and gets hot at the right time and wins. So it is pretty cool, though. I mean, let's give our props here to Roger Penske. I know he had incredible this year, but in general, now this was his 5th drivers championship, 5th owners championship. He has 1 with Keselowski, 3 with Logano, and now 1 with Ryan Blaney as well. That's ties Joe Gibbs for 5th all time with 5 championships. So I think that's pretty interesting for him. But yeah, I guess, is it the start of a dynasty? I don't know. It's weird because I think we can't really group motorsport into it like we're trying to do with these playoff systems. I've never looked at motorsport and really thought to myself, yeah, I want this to just break down into a bracket and then it's a winner take all last race. No, that's good for every professional sport out there. Everyone's accustomed to that. But with motorsports, specifically NASCAR, it's just not it. It really isn't. So congrats to Joey Logano for his championship and Roger Penske for yet another impressive season. But I have not, like Ben was saying, thought to myself, if you told me for the last probably 5, 6, 7 years, who's the best team in NASCAR, Penske would not come to mind. At least they'd be 3rd maybe every single year. It's always Hendrick. It's always Gibbs. But it's crazy. We never really thought, is there going to be a dynasty coming about out of this? But now, I mean, winning 3 championships in a row in this new car, in this system that's been around for 10 years, I give them props. That's all I can really, that's what I'll finish with. I can give them props for that. Good for them.
That's another good point, though, Matthew. The next-gen car came in 3 years ago. They are still 3 years in, the only team to win Cup Series championships in the next-gen era.